so glad you're here. How are you feeling?
I'm really good. I'm glad to be here. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Oh, that sounds good. Well, without further ado, can you tell the people who you are and what you do for those that don't know you?
Yes. So my name is Zoe Nutt. I am a musician and a singer-songwriter. I also have progressive sensory neural hearing loss. So I've got a cochlear implant in this year and a hearing aid in this year.
Okay. For those people, can you show the people, some people don't believe you got a cochlear implant. You want to show the people?
Yes, I'll show you. I've had many people say that this is what it looks like on this one. But before I got the implant, I actually had someone, I told them, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you well. I'm deaf, I'm hearing impaired, and they did not believe me. So now that I actually have these, have things that I wear, I can physically show someone, but it's crazy that why would I lie about that to begin with? But it's nice actually having the physical thing to say, yes, I can verify.
Okay, so I want to go back to your journey, your story. Tell us, what was it like growing up with a hearing loss? For those that don't know, what was it like?
Yeah, well, for me, I grew up, by the time I was 8 years old, I had lost all of the hearing in my right ear. And I had like 1 year that
Like what age?
8. At age 8. So my parents realized I was going deaf at age 4. And then by age 8, all the hearing was gone in this year. It wasn't until later on in like my early to mid 20s, I started losing hearing in my other ear. So growing up, I had one good ear and one very bad ear. So, but I did, growing up with hearing loss was difficult at times, but my parents never treated me any differently than any of my brothers, anything like that. I think I was a bit shy because of it. Just you miss out on half of every conversation. So sometimes that makes it a little difficult to be confident. But I do think that having hearing loss at a young age, it's very strange, but somehow I think I'm a good listener. Not because I can hear well, but because I really had to take time to try to listen. And you have to look at people's body language and not just their words, but how they portray themselves. And I think that I also just knew how special and important it was when you could hear someone. And so I think that taught me a good lesson.
Wow. Okay, this person says yes because we have to try so harder to listen. Exactly. So stay.
Yes.
Yeah, true. Mm-hmm. That's good. Mm-hmm. Which one you had? So actually, so what was school like for you? Like doing hearing loss? Explain that.
What was school like? So there was 1 year in elementary school that I had a hearing aid. And after that, I lost all the hearing in that ear. So there was no need for a hearing aid. And at the time, I was told I couldn't get a cochlear implant. I was told that I wasn't a candidate. And they thought I had nerve damage at the time. So, but now obviously I have one. So I got this much later when we realized I could. So, but growing up in school, there were things I didn't hear well, you have to sit in the front of the class kind of thing. But I didn't, I started pronouncing things incorrectly, and my parents just told my teachers, to be cognizant of that, and they'd just kind of correct me. There were little things like that. But really it was the social aspect. I think, you always have to learn to advocate for yourself, place yourself in the right spot at lunch, make sure at the front of the classroom, that kind of stuff, which when you're growing up is actually a lot scarier than it sounds, trying to, to force yourself into those situations. So I guess that would be the hardest thing. And then going to school for music, that later on was an interesting ride.
Yeah. I want to talk. I want to be talking about that next with that music.
Yeah.
So, but I like the. How did you You mentioned self-advocacy. How did you self-advocate yourself in school? Because there's a lot of people are shy, don't want to speak up for themselves. How did you learn how to self-advocate for yourself and speak up for yourself?
Yeah. Actually, Lickety Split, one of the commenters, they said it's so hard to advocate and acknowledge the disability in a public way. Yes. And now there's all these great tools that you can give your teacher, microphones, all that. I didn't have any of that growing up, but I think you have to be a little brave. But if I were trying to give like someone young some advice about that, I think you have to embrace it and know that there's nothing wrong with you. There's just something a little different, and that's okay. And the more you talk about it with people, oddly enough, I think a lot of people want to learn and understand. It's an invisible disability, so most people don't know what to do and they don't know how to help you. But a lot of people actually find it really cool that you're able. How do you hear? What's it like? So most of our fears are within ourselves, not what other people are actually thinking. So I've had so many people that really enjoy talking about hearing loss because they have no idea what it's like. So I think you have to remind yourself of that. This is different. It's hard, but it's also special, and you have a different way of looking at the world because of it. And that would be my advice.
I like that. I like that. But what was the mindset like? Did your parents like support you? Hey, you got to be independent and self-advocate yourself. What was the mindset? Were you scared at first, or you always had the confidence to raise your hand, support yourself? I need this X and Y and Z.
Oh, I think I was pretty shy. I probably wasn't vocal enough, but my parents always would remind me, hey, you need to tell this person you can't hear. You need to remind people. They would help me and remind me that no, you do need to tell people that you can't hear, because there were times where I'd walk past people and they thought I was ignoring them. Wow. And they thought, oh, Zoe's she's not very nice. But it wasn't that. I just couldn't hear them. And so once I started realizing that, I realized how important it was to actually tell people, because I don't like being the center of attention. I don't want to, have to go say that every time I meet someone, but you do need to. So I think my parents helped me with that. But my parents also never told me there was anything wrong with me. They told me, hey, there's something a little different. That's okay. And they never, I don't know, I never felt like I had a disability or anything wrong. They're great parents, and sometimes not focusing on it is exactly what you need. They helped me when I needed help, but we didn't make it a big deal.
Okay, I like that. So what advice would you give students to self-advocate themselves in school?
I think you should tell your friends that you have a hard time hearing. Your friends will always be there for you, and they want to help more than you even realize. So tell your friends, and sit down with your teachers and tell them, here's my hearing loss. This is what I need. Even if it's a tiny thing, it could be big or small. But if you do that, I know it's hard, but it will get easier with time if you're nervous about talking to people about this. And start with people that you are really comfortable with. But that'd be my best advice, is to just have a private conversation and let them know. Yeah. And it'll just get easier.
I like that. So my next question is, how did you shift your mindset from having a hearing loss to not letting that hinder you from being a musician, which you are today?
Yeah. So let's see here. By the way, real quick, it looks like my mom actually was on here. I told her about this.
Hi, how you doing?
She said, before we get on to that, I'll read what she said if that's okay. Hi, Mom here. Zoe also never wanted any pity, so she avoided talking about it until she knew it was helpful for her and her community. They learned so much from her. I agree. I started talking about this more because I want to be helpful to others. And before that, I didn't want to put any attention on myself, So also knowing that advocating for yourself might actually be helping someone else going through the same thing may make you more brave and excited to talk about your disability, knowing that it will help someone else.
Yeah, before you answer the next question, I want to thank you for being a role model. Thank you for being inspirational, you know what I mean? And you're a mentor to somebody to look up to, because you already went through the struggle, and that next person is going through the struggle. They need some type of guidance, and you're there helping them out. And you are also learning about yourself, self-awareness that helps you to keep growing. Like that identity, it makes you love yourself even more. Like I love who I am. I embrace who I am. I'm not able to hide that. It really helped me you embrace that. So I commend you on that. So, yeah.
Thank you. And you too, you're doing exactly that. And I think it's going to help a lot of people, what you're doing with this podcast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you asked about mindset with music. Is that the question?
Yeah, like I'm gonna repeat the question. What shifted your mindset from having a hearing loss to not letting that hinder you for your musical aspiration, which you are today, a musician?
Yes. So I have always loved music, and I ended up going to school for classical music in college originally. And right around, I decided to change majors to songwriting. I went to Belmont over in Nashville. And at that point, my first class in songwriting, I woke up one day and I couldn't hear anything in my good ear. I was already deaf in this ear, but I woke up and couldn't hear anything in the one ear that worked. And I've realized I had progressive hearing loss, and I've been losing that hearing ever since. So I'm over half deaf in this ear and completely deaf in this ear. So when you say about a mind shift change, a mindset change, I'd always had hearing loss and I'd never let it bother me. But when that happened, when I was going to school for music and woke up one day and couldn't hear anything, I did not second guess being a musician, which is weird. You would think maybe I'm crazy, but I did not second guess it because I love music and I want to do it. Now, to what degree, that may change. But I knew that I wanted to do this, and I would figure out a way to do it because it makes my heart full. So I never really there have been times since that I've thought, what am I doing? This is really hard to hear today. There are days that I can't hear my own guitar, days that I had to stop recording in the studio because my hearing loss was getting so bad. And I questioned, there are times where you question your career and all of that, but I've never said I don't want to do music. Like I will always do music in whatever capacity I can. So for me, that mindset that I guess I could offer to someone is that you're always going to have something, whether it's hearing loss, something, I don't know, any sort of thing, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual that's going on in your life. And the thing that brings you joy, like for me, music and art, that just makes life that much better, even if I can't hear it well. So I don't. I'm on a tangent, but I guess my advice would be is to not worry so much about that, not to overthink it, and just enjoy what you enjoy doing, and you will find a way.
I like that. Before answering that, this person says, when making music, do you feel frequently physical in addition to hearing?
See,
if you scroll up,
do I feel frequencies physically? Now, if I'm playing with like a band, I can to a degree like feel the the frequencies of the band on stage, of course, but with the implant, even though you have an implant yourself, you can probably attest to, you can probably add to this too. I hear out of it, but it does sometimes feel like a vibration, to me at least. Like I'm hearing something, but I also feel like an inner kind of vibration when I do that. But I guess that's the best way. I don't necessarily like hold my guitar close to me and then the vibrations, are inert and helpful in any maybe grand way. But that would be the best I could describe. Sometimes the implant itself just feels like that inner vibration, even if I can't understand fully the note that I'm playing.
Okay, this person says, can you translate sign language for the deaf? I do sign. Do you sign, Zoe?
No, I'm so sorry. Okay. I don't.
I do. I'm gonna have to on this next. I'm gonna have to do an interpreter here. I do sign and I do oral both, so I'm gonna have to work on that. But
yeah.
So when did you? So college where you felt inspired to be a musician? What age did you that inspired you to be a musician?
I don't think there's any specific age. I've always enjoyed music and singing. In high school, I started taking it more seriously. But I didn't. So in high school, my freshman year, I auditioned for the musical at school, and I didn't get the part that I wanted. And so I decided to get voice lessons. And I took voice lessons, and the next year I got the lead role that in the musical. So I've got this competitive nature in me that really I loved music, and my hearing loss, I could tell that it was inhibiting my ability to sing because when you have hearing loss, you kind of want to speak back here to hear yourself instead of project. And so I had to really learn how to trust that feeling of what singing outward and correctly is like versus singing in my head just for me to hear better, if that makes sense. So that's really when that drive for music was not just me singing in my bedroom, but actually going out and sharing that with others. And did
somebody inspire you, or what did that piece of that sense of drive, that sense of enthusiastic, what it like?
I'd say my dad is probably one of my biggest inspirations. He's not a musician, but he is an audiophile, a lover of music. And growing up, he always was playing music first in the car and asking us what the song lyrics meant. And, we're kids. Some of these songs are going over our heads, but he wanted us not just to passively listen to music, but really think about what the songwriter was trying to tell you. And so I think I was always really mindful of music in that way, because it wasn't just something fun to listen to in the background. Like there was a story and a meaning, and I had to go figure out what it was, So I think my dad being, he just taught me how to listen to music, not just hear music. So he was a big inspiration on that. And I think in my family, I do have a musical family member too. My my grandmother and her whole, all of her brothers and sisters, they were in a traveling family band out in Tennessee back in the day. So they would travel to different churches and sing in whatever church or group gathering was happening. And so I think that musical part of me is from my grandmother as well.
Wow.
But yeah, those would be my inspirations. Aside from like, they're great musicians I love, but like my dad imparting what it really means to write a song and listen to a song is the number one.
Okay. Where can people find your music? Where can people support you or donate you? Show some love. Where can people find you?
Well, I'm on social media here on Instagram. I'm just Zoe Nutt, and that'll link you straight to my music. If you click the link in the profile, I'm on all the social medias, and I post about shows and any new music coming out. And I'd like to continue posting about hearing loss as well, and share what it's like to be a musician with hearing loss.
Okay. Guys, if you want to check her out on the Dot on her profile, and go show some love and donate and let her know your feedback.
Yeah.
This person says, do you surround yourself with other hard of hearing people, especially when you talk about hearing lyrics? Since we can't really hear lyrics, I feel like the way we experience Hans music is so different, and that feels so isolating. But that's just one example of isolation. So how do you connect with your deaf community with music?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it is frustrating.
Do you you bring like maybe like an interpreter, or maybe, I don't know, accessibility? Are you working towards that? Something like that?
I don't have an interpreter unless you want to call my boyfriend an interpreter. He or any family member. I usually do. There's a comfort with having someone with you that can always tell you what you didn't hear.
No, I'm saying like on like a stage, like for people, the audience, like if you have deaf community that wants to, on that part.
Yeah. So I've played a show before where they had interpreters on stage. It was with Aid the Silent, which is a great organization out in Texas, and they had a music festival that did exactly that. But I don't do that regularly on my shows. Unfortunately, I know a few people with hearing loss, but I don't have a big personal community in the hearing loss world, which I would love to grow. I have friends and people I've met all over Instagram, but in my own physical community, I don't have much of that. So if anyone's in Tennessee, you can hit me up. But I would love to grow that, because like that legit split account said, like, it is isolating. Whether it's trying to figure out what a lyric says, or just finding people that can relate. So that part I need to grow on.
Come on, people. Go show Zoe some love. She can grow a deaf community, so she can bring interpreters. Show some love. Go follow that button.
Thank you.
All right. So, couple questions before we wrap up. I know time is running. My next question is, what does disability mean to you? Because that word definition is like kind of shady. It's like the stigma. So how would you? So what does this mean to you in your own meaning, and how would you define them?
Yeah, the word disability doesn't bother me personally. If someone says I have a disability, I'm okay with that. And everyone's different, I guess. But like my interpretation and what I think disability means. Let's see. I think that's a good question. Something is different, obviously, from the average person. I don't see that as an issue, though. Just like any disability, it's not a problem. Yes, there are things that are harder because of it, and that's okay to accept that it's hard. But there's nothing wrong with you. And in some cases, I think I'm a better person because I've had to go through hard things. So a disability, that definition is someone who's had to go through some hardship and comes out stronger because of it. Yeah.
I like that. I like that how you discipline people go. I'll look at as people have different challenges, and you go through something, you can overcome. But if you let that challenge hold you back, then you are defining that label. Me, the way I perceive disability is it either motivates you or it defines you. So it's up to you to decide. You get to choose. Do I let this disability stop me, hold me back, or I'm going to figure it out or ask for help at ways to improve, to speak up for myself, how to elevate through my career, whatever success whatever that definition means to you. So that's the way I look at it. I always like to ask my guests when they come in, like, what does disability means to me? Because when I look at Google, it says it's limitation physically. Like, does that mean hold me back? Nah, I'm not gonna let that comprehend. I'm gonna create my own meaning. So I just like to ask people.
I love that because the adage, you are what you eat. Like, if you tell yourself that you're limited, then you are going to act like you're limited. So it's okay to acknowledge that you have differences, but you have to look at it in a positive light, or it will become you. You're exactly right. It's all with anything in life, but people with hearing loss especially have to learn that, and it's a great lesson to learn because you become stronger.
All right. Two more questions. One, how did you overcome your fear, and what advice can you help somebody is scared to pursue their aspiration? So how did you overcome your fears, and what advice would you give that person?
That's a great question. I think I've had a lot of fears I as a songwriter, going into co-writes with people, and I was nervous to tell them I'm deaf or I'm hearing impaired. And I'd say that kind of fear, or even the fear of getting on stage, I think you just have to rinse and repeat. Just keep trying, even if it's 1% better each day, 1% a little further towards your goal. That and truly just practicing. Like, if you want to be a musician, practice. Even if you can't hear well, I actually wear headphones and practice that way and plug my music straight into the headphones. Have fun with the challenge of, I love like technology because I have fun with the challenge of figuring out how the heck am I going to hear my music today? How the heck am I going to hear myself on stage? So if you find the challenges fun in some way, as like a puzzle, I think that helps combat the fear side of things. But just 1% better each day, and fear will subside.
I like that. I like that what you mentioned, like getting better in each 1%, because it compounds and compounds.
Yeah.
You start to build your confidence. It's like putting the effort in, and you get to there.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like, I'm gonna give you an example. It's like you're going to the gym. You're not gonna see results in day one. But if you constantly going there, you're going to see that particular, I don't know which day, what month or year, but you're going to see results. So I always put that analogy.
It's true.
You about to say something?
Oh, actually, I got that. I can't remember the book, but I read a book that mentioned this 1% idea. And it was about some bicycle team, like that was racing. I'm going to butcher this story, but they were, I think it was one of these, it was a team like racing in the Olympics or something, a bicycle team. And they were like not a great team, but they hired a coach who chose to make everything just 1% better. The seats 1% better, the clothes 1% better, the helmets 1% better, the whatever they did physically.
Is it the
1%?
Is it the
Atomic Habits? That's what it is. Yes.
I was about to say that.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great book.
That's exactly where that comes from, though, and that team ended up excelling and becoming like an amazing team. I'm butchering the story, but if you Google it, someone else will tell it better than me.
Yeah. Is that your favorite book?
Oh no, that's not my favorite book, but I enjoyed it.
Did
I'm a terrible reader.
Did that book help you shape your mindset?
I'd say somewhat. I'll be honest, I didn't finish the book because I'm so bad at finishing books. It's a terrible trait of mine. So,
what about audiobook? Oh, are you listening? You could be doing stuff.
Oh, chores, yeah. The audiobooks are hard sometimes because I can only hear part of them, even when I pipe it in. I love podcasts. Like, as long as there's subtitles, I'm good. But the audiobook part, I think I would want to, I would get, I don't know if I could do it without the words popping up.
Okay. My last final question before we wrap this. What piece of advice would you give someone who's going through adversity? You come a lot of different challenges. We are proud of you, Zoe. And what piece of advice would you give that someone so they can overcome what they're going through?
Oh yeah, there are people out there that are going through a lot more than I have gone through, and so it's hard to say because I guess maybe the best advice is to find a little bit of community, even if it's just one or two people that are always there to help you, there to cheer you on, and you're there to cheer them on, because helping others honestly makes us all feel better. So I think finding a little bit of community that can bring you up and you can bring them up, no matter what your issue or thing that you're going through, would be my best advice, because everything else will flourish from there.
I like that. So is there any way, is there anything you're working on? Where can people follow you, support you? Any projects that you're working on? So people can look for your journey? Yeah, please follow me on Instagram, or I'm on, that little dot, 3 dots, I think is how you connect. I'm also on, Facebook, TikTok, all those places. And I've just been writing a lot lately, so hopefully I'll be sharing some of those ideas here soon. But please, I'd love to connect. And if you have any questions, you can message me. I enjoy helping anyone through their hearing loss journey if I can. Well, Zoe, thank you for coming for the show. I can't wait to see what's next for you. Keep on going. Thank you so much. All right, take care.